Hello everyone. If you click today's video, you're probably wondering how to subtract fractions with unlike denominator. So give me some time into your day and I'll make this make sense. So if you want the shortcut way and just want some steps provided, I do that here on this channel. So let's go over the steps. The first thing you want to do is you want to find the common denominator. So if you're giving two numbers like 5 and 6, you want to see like what number they commonly share together. And together, those two numbers share 30, for example. Now, the second step you want to follow is make sure your numerators follow suit with the change of denominators. So if I change that 5 6 times to get to 30, I'm going to change my numerator 6 times and I'll have my new numerator. Same on the other side. So what you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. That's how I like to think of that. And the third step you want to do is you want to subtract the numerators, so that new value you're giving with, once you change the numerators, you're going to subtract them, you're going to drop down your common denominator. So those are some quick steps, and if need be, you can simplify for your fourth step. So here are the steps to subtracting, and now I'm going to actually do a few examples with you guys. So for my first example, I have 6 over 7 minus 6 over 8. So I know that my first step is going to want me to find the common denominator. And to do this, I like to use the list method. So at the bottom left, I have listed the multiples of 7 and 8. And as I listed those, I stopped at 56 because I seen that they both shared that 56. So now that I know that's my common denominator, I'm actually going to write that out. So I'm going to have 56 over now my mystery numerator. Now, my second step is to change the numerators. And to do this, I'm going to look at how many times I had to change that denominator to that fraction to find that common denominator. So we're going to look over 6 over 7. So looking at this, I actually had to multiply 7 8 times. So 7 times 8 equals 56. Now I'm going to do that to the numerator. So I'm actually going to do 6 times 8. And when I do that, I get 48. So that's my new numerator for that fraction on the left. Now looking at the right, I have 6 over 8. I see that I had to multiply 8 7 times. So now I'm going to multiply that 6 7 times. And when I do that, I get 42. So now looking at my new numerators, I'm going to want to subtract them. That's my third step. So I'm going to do 48 minus 42. And when I do that, I get 6. So now I have an improper fraction, which is really important for today's video, but just so you know. And that's actually 6 over 56. And then your fourth step would be to simplify. And to do this, I like to use greatest common factor. And the greatest common factor that these two share is 2. So I do 6 divided by 2, and I do 56 divided by 2. And once again, once you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So once I do that, I see 6 divided by 2 equals 3, and 56 divided by 2 equals 28. So now that's going to be my new fraction, and that's my simplified fraction. So 6 over 7 minus 6 over 8 equals 6 over 56, and once I simplify that, is 3 over 28. So my final answer is 3 over 28. Now for my second example, I have 2 over 12 minus 1 over 10. So remembering my steps, I know that the first thing I have to do is find the common denominator. Excuse me. So to find the common denominator, I like to use the listing method. So I list the multiples of 12 and 10 until I find a multiple that they both share. Now, seeing this, I see that they both share 60. So I'm going to write that down, and 60 is my new common denominator. Now, my second step is to change the numerator. So what I did to the bottom, I must do to the top. I see that I had to do 12, multiply 12 5 times to get to 60. So now I'm actually going to do 2 times 5. And when I do that, I get 10. Now looking at my fraction on the right, I have 1 over 10. And I know that To get to 60 for 10, I have to multiply 10 times 6 to get that 60. And now I'm going to do that to the top of that fraction. So I'm going to do 1 times 6. So when I do it like this, on the left side I get 10, and on the right side I get 6 because I'm multiplying these. What I did to the bottom of that fraction is what I'm going to do to the top of that fraction. So now that I have my new numerators, my third step would be to subtract them. So when I do 10 minus 6, I get 4. So now I have 4 over 60. To simplify, I'm going to want to use their greatest common factor. Their greatest common factor will both be 4. So I'm going to do 4 divided by 4, and I'm going to do 60 divided by 4. And when I do that, I get 1 over 15. Now, our last example, and third example, is I have 8 over 6 minus 9 over 5. So once again, the first thing you want to do is find the common denominator. And I like to use the listing method. So in the bottom left, I have list the multiples of 6 and 5. And as you see, I stopped at 30 because that's what they both share. Now my second step would be to change the numerators. So I see that I listed 6 5 times. So I'm actually going to do 8 times 5 because what you do to the bottom, you must do to the numerator. If it took me 5 times to get to 30, then I'm going to do 8 times 5, to make sure that my numerator is changing alongside as well. So I do 8 times 5, and now I'm going to jump to my right fraction, and I see that I had to times 5 6 times to get to 30. Now, once again, I'm going to look at the top of that 5 and I see a 9. So I know that 5 had to be multiplied 6 times. I'm going to have to multiply 9 6 times. So when I do that, I actually get 54 for 9 times 6. And for 8 times 5, I get 40. This is me changing my numerators. Now, my third step would be to subtract those numerators. And 40 minus 54 actually gets me a negative. And when I do that, I get negative 14 over 30. Now, I would actually want to simplify. So to do this, I would do negative 14 divided by 2 and 30 over 2 because as you know, this is the greatest common factor that they share. So since they share these two greatest common factors, I actually get a new fraction, and that would be negative 7 over 15. So that's it for today. I hope I helped you guys learning how to subtract fractions with unlike denominators. And as you see, it's really 4 easy steps that you have to remember. The main one being is to change and find the common denominator. So that's what I always want to keep in mind. And I personally like to use a list method. This seems to be the most effective and reliable way to find the common denominator. So yeah. Check out my other videos on fractions and other math topics you may need help on. And this is Ari, the math tutor, signing out. Bye!